Hello, dear listener. Thank you for choosing this collection, and thank you for sharing your time with these words. I hope that as you listen to these verses and proses, you find something resonant and of value to you. I know that I did. I was moved by each and every piece that is featured within this anthology, both in audio form and print, and I'm so proud to share them here. When I first embarked on this project, I was scared no one was going to send in any pieces of their writings or feel inclined to inquire for more information. I didn't know what the process was going to be like entirely, and I didn't know if I was even fully prepared for whatever the outcome would be. Then I took a couple of breaths and reminded myself that I'm not going to know anything unless I try. I've been absolutely blown away by everyone who has taken their time to share their words with me and be a part of this journey. This is my first venture into anthology curating. I've been inspired over the years to eventually create my own after having worked with so many amazing people and being a part of other great anthologies, and I wanted to offer a safe haven for people's work as well. I think there is so much joy and strength and pure creative insight when we take the time to support each other and uplift each other in our creative journeys, or any journey for that matter. Much like a crystal buried deep within a cave, it must be dug, chiseled, and brought out into the light in order for one to obtain its beauty and its reflection. It must go through a deep cleaning and polishing process to really see its heart, if you will. I feel like this is much the same for creatives and writers. We must take those inner thoughts and dig them out and polish them before we are ready to truly share them. Our mind is the cave, and our physical manifestations of our art are the stones, crystals, and rocks that so many adore and treasure. The theme of this collection, when it was first announced, was aimed towards dreams and nightmares and everything else in between, with everyone encouraged to take their experience and interpret those themes as they saw fit. Not every dream is formed in slumber, nor is every nightmare a bad night's sleep. Sometimes these things come to us in the forms of many different anxieties and joys. A lot of these pieces are quite heavy in subject matter, while others are light. I would like to think this anthology holds necessary conversations that surround today's world, our connections, and our relationships to our own unique creative processes. My goal for this anthology was for it to be something that people could visit, like a daydream or a mid-afternoon epiphany. The dreams that are in hiding have come to the surface through our own creations. Thank you so much for being here. Tiffiny Rose Allen.
When our thoughts are igniting, our dreams are in hiding. And when we share our mind potions, our dreams are set into motion. Déjà, rêvé, already dreamed, by Tiffiny Rose Allen. It felt like a fever dream. I left everything that I wasn't sure was tangible. My heart was open and raw. My voice was speaking about what I had meant for it, and I was not afraid to be alone. I was running down a dark, tunneled street. I remember all the cars and all the snow, searching for something. Then I woke up, and yet I felt as if I had dreamt it before, the two scenes somehow merging, fusing together into one. Yet it was separate, too. It has all been dreamt before, the stories and the scenes. It has been dreamt, and it has been already dreamed. My pockets with loose seams. Nothing falls now. Nothing falls. It has already been. It was, and it is again. I wonder if the gods above are bakers. By Tiffiny Rose Allen. The astronomers have proclaimed that if the center of the universe were to have a smell and or even a taste, that it would be like raspberries and rum. It's an unusual clarity, a simple, mundane, and ordinary culmination of knowledge placed within the stars, making it seem like it is grand. Meanwhile, down on the earth, someone baked me cookies, leftovers from Halloween. Someone let me choose a rock from their adventures in Italy. Someone handed me a piece of peanut butter candy. Someone painted a picture for me. Someone gave their time and their opinions to me candidly. Someone shared a moment of their passion project with me. I wonder if the gods above are bakers, stirring sprinkles of stars together to form galaxies and nebulas and all the other things. I wonder if we are all confection cakes, different pastries of some sort, each a unique specialty, some a little sour, some a little sweet. Here's a message for you. I need for you to hear it, regardless of where you might be, regardless of anything, all right? When the universe shows you that you are important, you need to listen to it. We feel like we are so small. We feel like we are not worth the time. We feel like our significance would not matter if it dissipated within moments of actualization. We too often let our sorrow get the better of us, and we ignore and we mismanage and we turn our heads and tell ourselves that nothing really matters. And it's true. It doesn't, yet it does. It matters every second, and it matters every minute in every clandestine millithought of splendor. Call me sappy, call me cheesy, I feel implored to share this with you. Maybe I am a cheese-covered pastry. If I am a specialty of some kind, it would definitely include lots of cheese. You are so fucking important, and you need to listen when someone tells you so. I need you to listen. You will never be something that takes up too much space. The cosmos could not form without you, and you could not form without it. Maybe the gods left their ingredients at the center of the universe, and no matter how many rum raspberries we may get inebriated with, at the center of it all, it will always come down to you. You are love incarnate. You are the epitome of creation. You are the center. A Fixated Design by Tiffiny Rose Allen. A dusk-filled past, the red ensemble, the color schemes of pointed fixtures one would deem as decay, was really just the door, the fitting key and passageway of turning into form. What is the knowledge of my holding, if not deemed and shaped by them? Presumed as foul, but endured and waving pointedly in time, as I walk through astral stepping stones, the demons who appeared in my dreams wave hello. The hoofed confidant who stepped lightly on his way and pointed at the sky, drawing near to me my intuition, my incline, my passageway of understanding the differences of figures, fables, and fortunes. A quintessential reality placed and played by me, for I was handed over the key of knowing and unknown. What pointed nails to scratch along the boards of learning? My craft is my design. The figures lurk and beckon me, but I am in control. I followed along just enough to fool them, or maybe they fooled me, for I bear the burdens of what the past has done and what the past will be. I look up towards the light and I see shadows seeping in, but don't they know that darkness is just sleep? It is the lullaby and hum of my sacredness and content of dreaming, holding hands with the demons that I so feared before, befriending and learning just how much their own lives were twisted and ensnared. The choices and paths laid out for us, the decisions we embody, the souls we grow into over grandfather clocks and pocket watches, long hands, long yearnings, long eternities, and ever so conjured practices of what we design as our own. I hold hands now with what I once feared, for fear is just the temptress, fear is her own fiend. I find power in that darkness that the Gospels warned me of. I find comfort in the shunned resistance of what so few ever dare to acquaint with, the many sides of divinity.
Can I read your writing? I have been asked this question many a time, and it is never not terrifying. When you ask, can I read your writing, you are basically asking to see my soul. Because when I write poetry, I take the parts of me that are deepest and darkest and true and lay them out for you in size 12 Arial. So when you ask, can I read your writing, I am terrified to say yes. Because what if you don't like it? There is so much of me in my poetry that you not liking it feels like you're not liking me. It's a weird fear for a poet to have, and it is one I am constantly trying to combat. And with each poem I share, the fear is a little less there. And maybe one day, when you ask, can I read your writing, I will not hesitate to answer yes.
I am the master. I am the ruler, the master, I would say. This winding road, full of unknown, yet I am writing lines to my own play. Writing scene to scene, day to day, I am the one who sits on the throne. I am my own strength, I am the power. My next step is what it needs to be. I continue to climb to the peak of my tower. Each moment will count, hour by hour. I breathe slowly, and I trust in me. I listen to that voice is mine, inching closer with each decision made. I continue to evolve, and all will align, as this is what I am choosing, line by line. I am the master, and am no longer afraid. Streetlights. In a flash there you were, in a flash you were gone. Were my eyes playing tricks? Time passes, it continues. Again, you have my attention. Why can't they see what I see? I sit under the night sky, lost in thought, surrounded by cars yet deafened by silence. One single street light amongst many, suddenly out to darkness. My head turned swiftly, as if you had called my name, as if you had tapped on my window. Cars in front and cars behind, yet it was meant only for my ears and my eyes. In that moment, all was clear. You had been trying to reach me for months, possibly years. Everyone has a turning point, the beginning of their awakening. This was mine, and life would never be the same.
I Fancy the 7 Deadly Sins by Isabella Calisi-Wagner. Complete the following. Number 1, pride. My blank is the best around. Number 2, greed. I want blank so much. Number 3, lust. I crave blank. Number 4, envy. The thought of blank drives me mad. Number 5, gluttony. I bought all the blank on the shelf. I couldn't stand anyone else getting the sale. Number 6, wrath. Hell hath no fury like blank. Number 7, sloth. I binge watch blank TV all morning. Maybe I'll sin one day and fill out the 7 deadly sins form. Or maybe I have done so already. You'll never know.
A Perfect Half by Anubhav Chadar, read by Tiffiny Rose Allen. You appeared like a blur, and then crystal clear blue. First your silhouette, and then you. In between, waiting for complete you, and finally seeing you, my heart rattled like a fish transiently without a sea. Who knows, You are a type of rain who will follow the fish forever.
Prisoner by Jaxon Clouse. Read by Tiffiny Rose Allen. Prisoner in a body I'm supposed to call mine, nail scraping against a thick-skinned wall, screaming, clawing, praying for escape. Miss, ma'am, her, don't look, don't speak. Mr., sir, he, engage, speak free. You, them, they, shout it with pride. In the constraints of my own prison, the effects of patriarchy burn into my skin. Be a lady, tend to your man, yet my prison won't scream who I am, free, homey, loving. Drowning in myself to scream out my life, this prison proving me wrong, this unforgiving prison kept me in its hold for 19 years. But in its 20th, I will dig my way through the thick-skinned walls. Inhale a first of purity of self. Exhale the last of doubt, and be the escaped convict you were meant to be. How the World Began by Cumbow. Read by Tiffiny Rose Allen. When the last eternal being, those who existed from the beginning, prepared to disappear into the black hole, to try to start life over in a new place, in a new time, she wept. This galaxy had multitudes of lifetimes, always birthed in blood, always crumbling in war. There was no hope left to use the materials available here in this solar system. So the last eternal being shed her tears for lives that had risen and been sacrificed. Her kind had failed over and over. Her tears formed the last world, the last chance at Milky Way life, not to be overseen by the eternal ones. Self-Care by Cumbow. Read by Tiffiny Rose Allen. I don't want to be punished for not wanting to have a child. I mean, I already lost my own childhood since it was dedicated to my parents' immaturity, and I'd rather not give away more of my life to someone else when I wasn't cared for properly. I have to care for myself, like vitamins. Should I take iron supplements? Is it an iron deficiency or vertigo? Probably vertigo. My grandmother has it, so I probably do too. God, I love my partner. She's perfect. Should we both put X for gender on our passports? Or will same-sex marriage be threatened? Should we leave M and F on our documents? Too genderqueer, too sapphic. Don't say gay, I guess. I am so tired. I don't want to feel like the world is caving in, but I think my world has always been caving in. Why am I not used to it yet? I can't tell if I'm hungry. I shouldn't eat if I'm not hungry. I should eat less. Maybe if I stop taking my meds, I'll get too anxious to eat and lose some weight like I did last summer. America Doesn't Know It's Dead Yet by Cumbow. Read by Tiffiny Rose Allen. Those who've been screaming realize the void is just a vacuum. So no wonder no one has been hearing them and the skeletons of bank accounts that were devoured by the voracious flesh eater known as inflation rattle in the hot, humid wind blowing in from the wasteland of summer 2022. A cavern grows inside of everyone. And no, that is not the cavern of the womb being force-filled, or the small caverns made in the bodies of those shredded by unforgiving bullets, but a cavern that smothers the flames in the hearts of those who once held fires for the well-being of black bodies, trans bodies, hungry bodies, homeless bodies, indigenous bodies. What happens when the flames of the hearts go dim and transfer to the streets? Will we then be purified?
Great Woman Poets by Elizabeth Day. Great women poets are praised and remembered for being strong and independent. I hear stories of Emily Dickinson locking herself in her room all day, never marrying, publishing very little during her life, and dying alone. I hate to say that I'm kind of tired. What is so wrong about women poets being in love? Man poets do it all the time. I'm so interested in not living my life in isolation. I could, and I would like it, but love sounds so amazing, and I wonder what it would be like sometimes. I never get tired of writing about heartbreak, but I'm so not opposed to a change of pace. To be loved sounds amazing.
If You Should Feel So Obliged by Brooke Floyd. Murder me in my bed, place my writings around my head. I will not leave this earth without some final say. If you have to kill me, let them find me within a day. Fix my face, wipe the smears, make me pretty, prepped for tears. It's not that I want to die, but if you have to take my life, at least do it right. Don't half-ass it. Look me in my dead, open eyes, and don't you dare close them as you are laying me to rest. You may not know it, but I'll be stuck in your head, and each breath I miss will amplify in your chest. The Sun Fell Down by Brooke Floyd. I was standing on the curb of my cul-de-sac, and it fell. People ran, but the sun, it was falling, and my body was covered in wax, and the sun saw ants scattering rampant with no path, so I stood to watch the sun fall, my bones there to prop me up, no swarm of bodies all tucked in their homes, just me and the sun falling together. I lay in the grass and came alive to the sound of the crickets chirping melodies of lost stories told in native tongue of how the earth had eaten the sun. Cracked Cocktails by Brooke Floyd. I drink the words from your mouth, then reach down my throat and rip them out. Cut and paste them on a page to rearrange the way you phrase. I drench your rants in gulps of bourbon, slurp them down like a wad of cotton clumped in my throat. Then I spit into your hands. You wipe your palms off on my jeans, clean your fingers in my hair, cut and paste what is left to my skin that is bare. Am I an assassin of my own script? By Brooke Floyd. I try to omit out of anger or anguish or some tired old bullshit where I write through the thing, whatever that thing is, and for now it's a baby in a coffin that is too big, and a girl who test drove her first motorbike that didn't quite sit when she was flung across a car that took her roommate's leg, and the boy who promised the girl the whole entire fucking world, screaming, "We are the plan, in God's name, amen," till he pulled out a gun that she fought from his hand in the cool mustard room, paid for with her student debt, to the tellers busy telling her what she should and shouldn't say. But it's not a small thing by Brooke Floyd. I lose me in the little metal balls clanging violently, unconstrained. It's like they're being dropped in a 10 that is my head, but my head is too small to fit each panic-filled ball. Compressing some wrapped, trapped thing, invading the brinks of my brain, my skin aches as it begs for all the boom crashing to end. Those constant vibrations that leave me unable to think till I break in a rage against the cage that is my skull and try to rip out the walls from inside. But the walls are what keep me somewhat alive in your world, soiled in desolation, bred and trying to survive, sipping not your own bold communion of yes and I'm fines, till all that is left is an empty bowl. It's a small thing to rage inside your own bowl, and sexton, for John who begs not to inquire further.
Waiting by Renee Lynn Furlow. Read by Tiffiny Rose Allen. When I realize I have been left to myself, whispers bring peace from a heart's desire gone by. I offer a response, though not very clear, but it is loud enough for your world, and you get the point. The echoes of my own thoughts are so loud as I sit and patiently wait for a response I may or may not get. All I know to say is hurry up. I'd wait forever. Believe by Renee Lynn Furlow. Read by Tiffiny Rose Allen. You gain the magic. There's a trusting to the love. Believe the all-new. Beautiful Disaster by Renee Lynn Furlow. Read by Tiffiny Rose Allen. Reaching and watching the ins and outs, I feel so inspired. But when it comes down to it, I want to do more than just admire. The fear takes control and chaos ensues. I don't feel I stack up as an equal next to you. Even though there are so many things I have mastered, I feel at the heart of things, I am a beautiful disaster. Shine by Renee Lynn Furlow. Read by Tiffiny Rose Allen. I am allowing myself to be cracked open, and I am willing to explore what comes out. And I will fight the fear that I feel when I come across some things in the pile. This is my time to shine. A Spirit on Fire by Renee Lynn Furlow. Once the spirit was lit on fire, the changes ushered in a breeze of pure clarity. Finding peace in moments, the heat begins to retreat. The crispness fills life with a light tap on the back, and the reminder is holy. Transitions must take place in each life and season. Discovering new sides of self is ultimately the reason. Knowing by Renee Lynn Furlow. Read by Tiffiny Rose Allen. There's nothing like the feeling of knowing the answers are not out there, but inside, where they've been all along. The Magic of Being Heard by Renee Lynn Furlow. Read by Tiffiny Rose Allen. There's magic in her step, a trail of glitter following with each step taken. She aims high to be one with her celestial family. There's an enchanting flow as she walks this earth. The grass and flowers she walks with brings brilliant understanding to all of the silence. The hush of the starlit sky as she captivates the stars, she finds gratitude for release. Appreciating that audience, and finally, as she hugs the trees and is lit up by the moon, she finds peace because she was heard.
You Deserve Better by Kayla M. Haranda. Who created this notion of better, when all that's real is mess and craze? I've never wanted an ordered life. Give me disarray in the form of your laugh. Give me sorrow in the form of your hands. Give me intimacy in the form of your lips. Keep your better for someone afraid of truth. Waking Dream by Kayla M. Haranda. I find myself in the taste of whiskey, in the smell of summer air, in the sound of lonely voices, all vying for attention, all hoping for connection, all wishing for something unattainable. I find myself in the oddest places: a corner bar stool, a picnic table at midnight, a library just before closing. I find myself in memories. I find myself in dreams. So hard to tell the difference. Temple by Kayla M. Haranda. I have scars from moments I didn't love myself, and tattoos from moments I did. A couple piercings that closed, and a couple more still adorned. I often draw hearts on my hands to remind myself of the first boy to write love on my arms. My body may be a temple, but it will never be a blank canvas. Peaceful Death by Kayla M. Haranda. The ease with which I slip between painful self-realization and blissful oblivion is disturbing, and all too often soul-crushing. My fondest desire is to live in a state of never-ending awakening, where I thwart peace and spit venom in its face. I see the truth behind the facade. Peace is nothing more than surrender, and I won't go down without a fight. Isolation by Kayla M. Haranda. Struggle, I'm no stranger to it. Insecurity, I'm no stranger to it. Fear, no, I'm no stranger to it. But this used to be easy. Wake, dress, walk. Outside drive, outside in. Socialize, smile. Be friendly, make friends. This, no, I'm no stranger to it. Talk, I'm no stranger to it. Just speak, I'm no stranger to it. But this is no longer simple. Drag, linger, laze. Inside, 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 stay inside. Avoid, hide, be invisible. Meet no one. Be no one. No, I'm no stranger to it. Darkest Fiction by Kayla M. Haranda. The sky is clear brilliance, and I read terrible things, drunk on darkest fiction while peace waits outside. A sleeping 2, a laughing 4, a reading 6. I miss it often, even while it's still happening. Fuck, this world can be terrible, if we choose to be.
Rediscovered Dream by Kathryn Holeton. Ever since I was 5, I dreamed of throwing my fist high, jumping up and down among fire, screaming my heart out to a raging crowd, making the rafters shake from the sound of getting to the top and never coming down. For a while, the sparks fluttered away. I thought nothing good was meant to stay. I fell into dark, dark days where everything around me, about me, became fake. While I was buried 6 feet down, I heard a calling, a sound, a plea to separate from my crowd. That old spark rekindled, growing into a fire, a resurfaced memory, begging me to go higher, to go back to that time when I was 5.
What Keeps Me Up at Night by Hayden Kasal-Barsky. Read by Tiffiny Rose Allen. Bullets, weapons, a scoop of daily life. I live in shock. I sleep with lightly bruised ankles. My mother wails at night like a hurt puppy dog ready to bite. Her mind is an EEG ready to break, and I'm the nurse that wakes up 50 times a night to tend to her. My bed wraps me up with fond memories of childhood. The walls wake me up in fear of my life. This is what the empty night holds for me. This is the sucking reality of what constantly keeps me up at night. Our Failed Corner of a World by Hayden Kasal-Barsky. Read by Tiffiny Rose Allen. A paperweight. An empty bullet hole. A tomboy with a twisted middle finger. A ratchet government that demands free labor. An empty mind. An even emptier stomach. This is the world. This is our world. This is our twisted, empty, little world. There is a Dream by Hayden Kasal-Barsky. Read by Tiffiny Rose Allen. There is a dream that passes along and sings the song unsung by most. There is a dream that lights the way when darkness folds and covers my pride. There is a dream like a woman's song, sung by all but strung by few. There is a dream that'll never age, a dream that shall never die. There is a dream that lives to inspire the world. There is a dream that intends to thrive. Walking Shameless by Hayden Kasal-Barsky. Read by Tiffiny Rose Allen. I walk shameless, but I'm not ready to talk. I walk with absence in my presence, with flowers of exposure in my hair. I walk shameless, like I never died to save my mother or brother from hanging. I walk shameless as a woman with fear in a tiny dish. I walk shameless as a total stranger. I walk shameless here and now. I walk shameless for the thrill. I walk shameless for nothing but love. I walk shameless, shamelessly, I swear. I walk shameless in God's faith. And I know that I'm going to die shameless.
Ruin a Dalliance, Part 1, by Kayla King. Forgive my experience, but I promise I look more beautiful in the light. You were scared of me then, some amalgamation of womanhood taught by my mother. I perfected puckered lips, held to the unlit end of a middle finger, patron saint of consolation. A Ritual for Yesterday's Moon, by Kayla King. The foundation shifts this time of year. My bones follow suit. And yes, I'm writing about them again. Their responses snap back with the voice of a harridan. I won't become her if I'm careful. But how can we promise such softness when the world chisels our framework with every decision? Who else am I supposed to talk to when midnight knocks at the door? I'm sure you'd rather I pursue anyone else. Paint me in yellow and trap me in gold. This is how to write a strong female character. A little exposure right there at the thing done and dead a decade ago. It's worth dredging from the depths. It's where this began, after all. Why shouldn't it anchor us to the end? Maybe that's what I feared that night. It's hard to remember now, because we both spilled tears to forget. The salt binds, unable to allow passage over the hill of my knee. Only an act of spontaneous combustion in a dive bar could change a painter into a prophet. But oh, I'm melodramatic in the morning. I feel more at home beneath the moon with her shadowed eye on the cosmos. She wept with me. Only once. I promise it was a necessity. We were both undone by a prayer, both failed by a promise. And there's no greater sanctuary than dead voices because they know how to make their words matter. Perhaps You Were Right, by Kayla King. Last week, Tuesday, you died in my dream. Sky sneered from the shadows to gulp you back into the ether. Hopefully some part of me died there, you said the next day. If I think back, I can't remember exactly when, but the psychic was there both times. She doesn't read days, only death. My grandmother stepped forward to remind me to wear red lipstick for unholy days, to only bite my lips on the godly ones, for no one liked to notice a girl's mouth when they were kneeling at the pew. How then could they focus on God? They called it Love Sickness, Moving Day, 2015, by Kayla King. Someone once told me of ancestral abilities with tea leaves, and I tasted the trying to see future from past, too herbaceous to harm us. You would never understand my obsession in that same way you'd never believe a peach could be less than something else, because it's tactile, texturally tenacious, you'd say. Tonight you bring me a glass of water, though I never drink down the liquid inside. Yet the practice is patient, and I love the ring the glass makes on ripped envelopes stacked beside the bed. All the Things You Could Miss at the End of This, by Kayla King. Somehow backwards to witness, but you'd call it a flashback, not trauma. The image of myself inverted, world turned tides not meant for someone with so few years. The tarot tells me things could be worse. Such trickery in trying to read Polaroids, like cards named for destinies far more divine than the day I was born. Years later, I pull a photo of scorched earth, recalling the way that tree towered before snapping. It was an omen, if ever I saw one. As if any of us might reach out and claim our shadow selves from the sea in which we were spit onto earth, from the foam and the fragrance of afterbirth, so metallic in the morning. That word. You rub a thumb against the roof of your mouth to quell the quake inside. You don't know how to write this part any better. Like the way we displayed destruction in garish vessels, to forget. Other things we left on the mantle to remember. Last night, I fell asleep and dreamt of my grandmother's vases, statues of women's faces, heads open and overflowing with bouquets. If you had a daughter, I'd hope for better things to fill her mind, dare her to speak. You would wish for a world where she didn't need to scream so loud in order to be heard. For so long, annihilation existed in routine. Now, it's the waiting. I would like to say that it was yesterday when the sky turned to rust in a city where my best friend lives, because the days between apocalypse feel pressed together at wrong angles, jammed up in a jigsaw not meant to have sense. Days have passed without permission, as they do. Sometimes the way I miss people carves into my spine, and I must sit then, with coffee, with spiced tea, and I bring my hand to a pen, vanquish the virulent feelings of being without. Leaving remains in everything. You tell me to wrap myself in morning clothes, wool sweaters and socks. But no one dares listen to the weeping. We become banshees in our spare time, make a promise to warn the others before it is too late. It's what we might become in myth, but there hasn't been an official banishment. Not yet. Transformation takes time.
Therapy. Laying down on my therapist's couch, I hear, "Time will heal all wounds." Really? For $100 an hour, I'd expect something better than a cliche. I need to find a better therapist. The reality is, time has made deeper cuts in my broken heart, and it's not on the mend. Ugh, my therapist tells me pain is temporary. Another cliche. Doesn't my therapist listen? I've been hurting since I was 7 years old. My childhood innocence was ripped out of my soul, and I can still feel it. Is it phantom pain? Tick, tick, tick. When will this therapy session be over? Nothing lasts forever, my therapist proclaims. Really? Since I was 7, my parents haven't been in the same room, and I don't see that changing. My mother's disappointment still rages on, and my father still rejects me. I want to yell at my therapist, "Those rules don't apply to me." But I keep my mouth shut. I'm losing my mind, but I dare not say anything for fear of getting committed again. I recall the shame that washed over me after taking copious amounts of sleeping pills. I still remember laying in the hospital bed, getting my stomach pumped. That hellish first day I had to endure in the psych ward, and the mandatory therapy. My therapist's voice brings my mind to the present. Are you still having any negative thoughts? Nope. I keep my answer short. Are you having any suicidal thoughts? Yes, I'm learning to make the perfect noose. I've practiced over and over again until I can do it with my eyes closed. I'm hoping suicide will remove my childhood scars. All I can do is think about suicide, you quack. But I don't say that. I just reply with a simple no. My therapist keeps feeding me cliches. I keep the truth locked away from my therapist, family, and friends. My therapist gives me self-help books to read. I relate to more Salinger's Holden Caulfield than the self-help guru Tony Robbins. I don't want to fix myself. I want to go to bed and find relief in dreams. My therapist is a living nightmare. When will this end? It seems like time is never on my side. When will time work for me? In a sing-songy voice, my therapist says, our time is up. Shoes. What is normal? Was today normal? Following routine rituals just to keep my sanity? Meanwhile, my traumatic childhood brain is going insane. Carrying a broken soul is exhausting. Bloodshot eyes explode open. It's morning time. My Frankenstein voice echoes in a dark and empty room. Must get out of bed and follow daily rituals. Old tattered shoes are placed on dirty and worn feet. Footing is tottery. Am I still hungover? Nope. I'm too poor to afford bottom shelf liquor. Some things never change. A slap on the chest? Yep. My soul is still frail. Walking outside confirms my suspicions. People looking at me through telescopes, examining me with a microscope. Am I a disease, a germ, or parasite? I own my own shortcomings, as I have a whole basement full of them. My downfall was being born with depression, fighting the stigma of mental health, reading Joseph Heller, trying to maintain my sanity and not get stuck in a catch-22, understanding the stigma of asking for help and being judged for taking it. My mind is worn down like the shoes on my feet. Both are stripped away, exposing the calloused skin. Blisters appear from the heavy burden that weighs me down. Fluid pops, or maybe it's hope trickling out of my body. Pain travels through my pores, making sure to visit every nook and cranny. Give me a mask so no one can see the sorrow that rests on my face. Please cure the disease that is called depression. Wash away the regrets. Until then, I will wear a mask and disguise myself as normal. The mask makes the monotonous day even longer. It takes true strength and effort to disguise one's true feelings. A glance in the mirror reveals the truth. I see a stranger who is unable to take off the mask. I walk around with a fake smile and must learn to live in a stranger's shoes. Dream or reality? When I dream, it's a chance to escape the toils of this world. My heavy eyes close. The dream world beckons. Drifting into a foggy cloud, I become happy. There's a sense of ever-ending joy at the cusp of my mind. I will never be alone and always loved. Family members always include, never exclude. I clutch my pillow. It's my secret lover in my dream. I wish this feeling would never end, but the reality is about to make itself known. Beep, beep, beep. The alarm clock sings its depressing song. The worst part of my day has begun. I walk the earth wishing to be in a dream world, but face reality every minute. Reality I'm rejected by loved ones. My dreams, I'm accepted by everyone. Reality, my antics are too much for people to handle. Dreams, I'm the life of the party and people adore me. Reality, I'm broke and have to scrimp and save and never get ahead. Dreams, I never have to buy a drink. The world is my oyster. Reality, I let people walk all over me and have no backbone. Dreams, my voice carries weight and influence with people hanging on every word. Reality, I'm not in control of my emotions. They always get the better of me. Dreams, I'm made out of Teflon and everything rolls off my shoulders. Reality, my soul is in agony and everything is sour. Dreams, I relish in the simple pleasures and everything smells like roses. In my waking moments, I long for the dream world. I think, is death a perpetual dream? Or is reality hell? Am I insane from wanting to live and take residence in the dream world? Or am I insane for living in the harsh reality? I write my Christmas list and beg Santa to murder me for Christmas. I say, please, big guy, give me the gift of the dream world. It will be the last gift I ever ask for. The reality is, my gift is too big to fit in Santa's red bag. But my gift fits perfectly under the reaper's black coat. To breathe is to suffer. The exception is while I sleep. Today is another day. I'm forced to be awake. Should I stay in bed forever? Or get up and search for the elusive banana fish and hang around under the Owl Creek Bridge?
What do you want? The answer to the question not many before him ever thought to ask is everything. I want everything. I will carve out every happiness and joy I can possibly find in this lifetime because my soul is starved for it. I want to meet each and every one of my passions and make fierce love to them. I want to start fires with my desires in every space I inhabit. I want to do that which I have always dared to dream of, but never to speak into my reality. I want to believe in the person I see in my mind, the woman whose voice speaks with the strength of warriors, the writer who drowns herself into drunkenness on blasphemy and dares to call herself a god. I want to feel everything, fully unfettered, and I want to be thrown about by the world and laugh into the wind. I want to let my soul scream out into the firmament and shatter the glass wall separating the parts of myself we have deemed irrevocable. I want to bleed the essence of my soul into the lines of duality so that they are inseparable. I want to be whole. I want to be everything. And I want someone to see everything, to feel everything, to have everything, and love me, not despite of, but because of my indescribable hunger for all that this universe can give. And I now know who that person is. My heart overflows with gratitude for that stubbornly whimsical child, who despite the chaos and darkness of her reality, saw the light and the beauty in the universe, and insisted that one day she would hold it in her hands. Obstinately, she clutched to the strings that fettered her dreams to this plane, knowing that if she pulled hard enough, or simply waited, gravity would eventually allow them to drift within her grasp. The little magician who watched and listened to the silent whispers of the universe, the dialogue that passed between all living things, and began to collect the gifts that were dropped onto her path, little trinkets with which she learned to carve the light out from between the darkness. I am in awe of her now, how she mastered her craft, and I watch with joy as my body moves through the reality which she spent so long creating for me. Hopes and dreams are living, breathing things. They live coiled inside me. As you draw near, I fear they'll stir as they sleep. Time stretches its limbs out before me, the forking branches, each laden with the sweetest fruit of my desires. My heart beats in anticipation of the honey-filled flesh of fulfilled fantasies. My dreams are haunted with the tantalizing taste of contentment. I eagerly swallow each phantom drop, but I awake, choking on the present. Reality presses in on my skin, each passing moment one more closer to the future, and yet one more moment of the past slips away, its taste not bitter, yet not savored. How do you convince a dreamer to relish in reality? Who can teach her to dance in the bows of today as she makes her ascent toward satisfaction? Who are you? The answer condenses in the bottom of my stomach as I learned long ago that my truth did not satiate others' curiosity. What do you want? The panic scatters through my mind like a flock of birds startled into flight. The beat of the wind against their wings matches the tumultuous beat of my heart, for I learned long ago that my desires were too heavy for any one person to carry. What are you? 1,000 answers spring to the surface of my mind. Some seeds that were planted by others, violently shoved into deep wounds in my soil, stamped down and flooded so that the roots sank deep. Others were cast by the winds of chance. They happened to land and grew where they lay. Some fell full in sunlight, others in secret shadowed corners, so that I did not even know they were there. And then the few precious seeds that I claimed for myself, enthusiastically overwatered and pruned, determined to make them flourish. All of these, any one of them I could pluck out of my mind and offer up as an answer to the question of my being. But it would be as if I had snatched a leaf out of the passing wind and declared that I held a whole forest in the palm of my hand. What are you? Who are you? What do you want? The great oak that lives in the center of my being creaks its boughs in response. The birds ruffle their feathers as the wind whispers through its leaves. Before the flowers, before the birds decided to make their home, before any seeds were planted, the oak was there. Its roots stretch the farthest and the deepest, and yet sometimes I forget that it is there. It has simply always been. It requires no water, no pruning. It did not need to be planted. And it knows all the answers. It is the voice that whispers back when I am alone. It is the strength that comes when I think I surely will break. And it whispers to me now. Answer them. Let them see.
I have always believed that words are worthless until they are said aloud or written down and passed around. If they stay in your head or the notebook by the bed, if they are never read or even said, did they ever really exist? It is a guiding principle in my life, and the only reason why I show anyone anything I write, because if I don't, if no one ever sees it, it is like the words were never there in the first place, and I have poured too much of myself into my work to keep it hidden and resign it to oblivion.
In Dreams, inspired by Roy Orbison, by Patricia Carragon. When I was a teen, no candy-colored clown paid me a visit, nor did everything turn out all right. When the lights went out, the Sandman came, not once, but several occasions, gave me my first lessons in fear and distrust. Silent screams gasped for air, penetrating a blue-gray nightmare. After a year's absence, the Sandman returned, held up my painting. Leafless tempera trees burned against an orange and red sky. He praised it while destroying it. Scraps of orange, red, and ash paper fell like stardust. Years later, he came by for the last time, dressed in a dull, baggy suit, a beggar asking for forgiveness. Before disappearing into the blue-gray mist, he tapped my shoulder, whispered, "Everything will be all right."
Drum Roll, Please, by Mariana Pizzini-Mankel. Read by Tiffiny Rose Allen. I thought it would be the flashing lights or palpable bass that would cause my slowly sinking ship to send me overboard. I didn't account for the body crush heat or the feel of a stranger's breath on my neck to be the fatal leak. But as I waited for the comforting sounds of my favorite band to lull my sinking body, I couldn't tell if I was waiting for sleep or death, and when anxiety did not wait for me to catch up before pulling me under, I let the waves fall across my body and mind, one at a time.
Starlight, Love, Rose by Tammy Nguyen. Starlight, love, and rose, 3 words that remind her of the strength within her. Dear by Tammy Nguyen. Dear, how have you been? Has your smile returned, or are you still hiding behind a mask? Have you learned to let go, or are you still holding on tight? So tight that your knuckles are white and your eyes are closed with a sheer will to hold on. Dear, I hope you're happier now, that you found a reason to smile, to laugh, that you don't regret, don't resent whatever haunted you in the past. I wish I would have known how you'd grow, how'd you blossom, how'd you learn to let go, how'd you learn to forgive yourself, but not forget. Dear, when you feel like letting go, I promise I'll catch you. Prayer by Tammy Nguyen. I pray that people will stop asking me, why did you have to choose English as your major? What are you going to do with your degree? Are you going to be a teacher? You're not? What are you going to do with your life then? How are you going to make enough money to live? I pray that I will be able to look in the mirror and not hate the woman staring back at me, the one who lost sight of her dreams, the one who used to smile brightly at the world, the one who loved deeply and freely, the one who closes herself off as soon as someone gets too close. I pray that Dad will stop looking at me like I'm a disappointment, like I offend him by existing, like I'm worth nothing more than the dirt beneath his shoes, like I'm nothing more than a trophy, someone whose sole goal in life is to get married, have children, be a good wife, a good mother. I pray that I will one day look back and smile at all the paths I've crossed, the people I've met, as I thank each of them for making me stronger, with love and hate, words of wisdom and words of deceit. I pray for happier times when I can pick up a pen and words will flow seamlessly out of me, when I will stop hearing why and what, when I will stop asking myself, what if? I pray that I won't lose myself a second time.
Hi, my name is Megha Sood, and I'm reading my 2 poems from Dreams in Hiding anthology. First poem, Journey, a Question. No man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river, and he's not the same again. Heraclitus. A grandeur of illusion, a miracle of thoughts, trailblazing your dreams and circling and creating that swirls in your eyes. That experience is so surreal, so ecstatic at the same time, where life intersects the illusions between dreams and reality, where you are cut into halves, sliced and mutilated, to appear in million different facades to bear the overwhelming journey, when the masks are old and peeling, scraping off bit by bit, and old thatched dreams are giving in and slipping into the deep abyss of that circling whirlwind called time. You sit and prick your yellow skin and wet soul to figure out the same reason, the only belief you have clutched onto all this life which brought you this far. Was the journey worth the pain? Next poem, Insatiable Desires. These desires The endless list of possibilities never dies, never gives up, but it reforms, changes, reshapes, and morphs to a new desire, a new hope, a new longing, wishes verboten, like molting of the skin or the transformation of the metamorphosis, essential in the inevitable change. It just goes like an unbroken succession of desires from one wet dream to another, hushed and spoken, those muted whispers. The dream never stops, and the desires never end. Like the endless wave hitting the feet of the ocean, one end marking the beginning of another, making small islands of sand between your toes, your tiny possessions. The endless list goes on and on. These immutable monsters of our longing are undeniable in their existence. You think you have conquered them, a false sense of ownership, but by the end of the day, a shining light, a shimmering hope catches your fancy, and your heart takes flight again. Third is a prose poem called A New Me. I no longer need the pain and expectations from someone who does not or ever will walk in my shoes. Empathy is a virtue, and I have learned the hard way that not everyone possesses it. I no longer need the fear and pain from old wounds festering in my soul. There's a timeline for everything, and everything comes to an end. I know and firmly believe that to begin something needs to end. I no longer need the support of the false and thin friendships that crack and wither at the touch of any test or tribulation. I don't need the affirmations from friends who always see someone as their needs and wants. Sometimes I wish there could be a mechanism, a sieve for finding real friends and family in one's life. They say time is the ultimate test, but I ask feverishly, why do I have to go through the circle of false expectations and pain to find the real people that can withstand the moving gale of life by shouldering my pain and struggles? I no longer need the exhaustive list of missed deadlines, milestones, the bloated goals as I carve my own path through my pulverized existence. Like a shining, flickering hope in the tiny abdomen of fireflies warming my backyard, I no longer need the false acknowledgments from the people who could never see beyond their false promises, desire, and hunger. I no longer need to walk on this path to become the epitome of perfection for everyone around me, when their own identity is laced with falsehood and deception. I no longer need the body to carry the pain as a remembrance of the wound, a language for my broken self. I want my body to heal as a prayer, unmoved as a kite, tasting the blue kindness of the skies. I want to embrace the bold declarations of my truth, and for the world to see the new me.
X by John Quior. What could be more bone-curdling than an entire life without love? No voice to cause the soul to glow, to feed the soil so that it might grow. Not one star in the endless sky to offer hope and someday guide as a memory or hopeful aspiration. What could be more bone-curdling than an entire life cast in blue? No purple or other rouged hues whispering their enchanted clues on where to find the hidden treasure. What could be more bone-curdling than an entire life without love, without ever finding that chest that you believe is in the sea, but it's much simpler than that. It's nestled in an unlocked cage. Keep it open, keep it safe, keep it free. The Great Disruptor by John Quior. There's this figure looming in the pasture, where my sheep gather to be numbered, haunting in the daylight of my dreaming, poisoning the sweet fields of lavender and soft streams of calming chamomile, conjuring clouds to cover the crescent, howling wildly to spook my companions, and I think this has gone on too long. I walk out to meet this great disruptor, to tear the cloak from their bones, to demand why they are so destructive, to demand that they immediately leave. I am now just an arm's reach away. They are roughly the same size as me. They are dead silent and unwavering. Remove the veil so that I may see the one who is destroying my peace. A soft breeze tickles the dark fabric, growing into a steady whipping wind that throws the garment to the ground, and now only a glass pane remains. I gaze into the lone rectangle standing to see myself presented as a child. An ache forms in my angry chest. It begins to almost soothe me. The child looks deep in my eyes. We've been playing hide and seek, but you've only ever been hiding.
Dreams by Lynn White. Read by Tiffiny Rose Allen. One day soon, they'll try to dig up your dreams. You'll be dead by then, unable to protect them anymore. They'll let you rest in peace, but not your dreams. They'll want them for sure. They'll want them. They'll want them to try and find you, to try and discover who you were. They'll dig them up, scrambling amongst the dirt, seeing what they can find. Digging up the dirt to see what they can find in there. They'll discard this piece here, another piece there, dross from the dried up remnants. They'll hang on to the moist bits. The juicy bits are worth further analysis. You may be in there, in your dreams. Someone else will scrabble to catch the dried pieces, those fragments of dreams thrown away, the little pieces blown away in the air, little snippets, dreamlets. But there are flakes of gold hidden there. I hope they don't find them. Cabbage Dreams by Lynn White. Read by Tiffiny Rose Allen. I am dreaming my cabbage dream. I'm peeling off the outer leaves to find what lies hidden beneath. Looks much the same as the outer leaf, a little less battered and crinkled, but fundamentally the same. Now for the next layer. There's a drop of water shining full of light, and something darker, more solid, the leavings of some hidden creature. Another layer reveals the holes, and the sleepy caterpillar dreaming, without his pipe, without his crown, so unsure of his own identity, much less mine. If I peel off layer after layer until I get to the heart of it, will I understand where I've come from and be able to unpack the dream, find the pipe and put the pieces together, make sense of the cabbage, crown the king? Dreaming by Lynn White. Read by Tiffiny Rose Allen. To sleep, perchance to dream. That's what he said. Sounds so gentle, but there's a rub, a rough edge to this sleepy escape that would see me float away, sending me spinning, out of control, tumbling, raging, spiraling, crashing to an indeterminate end. So perhaps it's daytime dreaming that has the edge to smoothly move me from one place to another. In wakeful dreams, I can determine the beginning at least, and invite the participants. Sometimes they may act out an old story with a predictable end. Sometimes I can write a new story and then bring it to life. In Which I Am Untethered But Bound by Zee Zelinski. Read by Tiffiny Rose Allen. When he calls, I answer fervently, without a second's hesitation. I joined him at this spot at the edge of the world, where the skyline melts into a silvery pool of stardust. My scuffed yellow Chuck Taylors dangled below, swirling stagnant cosmic soup into chaos, as we perched on a ledge watching a multitude of multiverses collide. He asked me what I feared the most. and I rolled my eyes so far back into my head I caught a glimpse of the gremlins squatting in an empty skull. There is no life behind these eyes. There hasn't been in a while. I'm afraid of paper airplanes and the things I cannot see in the dark. I'm afraid of saying goodbye in my sleep because what if I believed it to be a dream? And I let go of the memory before I am ready. But more than anything, I'm afraid of dreaming because come morning I know I won't want to wake up. He nods solemnly and asks what paper airplanes ever did to me, because it's not the darkness that surprises him, and all I can say is that they remind me of myself. A mess of miscalculations and failure to launch. I think I'm afraid of losing myself. He envelopes me in a hug that sends me tumbling off the ledge, and I am weightlessly floating, untethered. I wake up to the sun scorching the weary earth, blaring the news that tomorrow has arrived, whether I like it or not, and he is gone. Night Glimmers by Zee Zelinski, read by Tiffiny Rose Allen. Left to my own devices, in a city that doesn't know me, I find the night can be cold, shrugging me off as if we weren't made of the same dark matter. She leaves me in dim-lit alleys of regret, and makes me swear I won't go chasing after what I cannot fix. But I've never been one to make promises I cannot or don't intend to keep, so I go on without her, searching beneath a starless sky for a matchstick to strike against my teeth, that I might set myself ablaze in protest, but fire needs material fuel to burn, and I am nothing if not the sunken city of Atlantis, and a Rolodex of drenched memories pressed into my palm like a prayer book unfurling its wings. Douse me in gasoline so I glimmer, and oil spill opalescent sheen so I might be seen by Helios, and he delivers me from the grips of Nyx, but not so that I befall the same fate as Icarus. I've already lost so much to the stars. I feel fissures expanding beneath the surface, stretching my skin so it snaps as the magma bubbles and bleeds out from every orifice, breaching the dams I built beneath the aqueducts in my eyes, turning my tears into obsidian. This isn't what I meant when I said the wound is where the light comes in. My body will not become the site of another historical tragedy, frozen in time for the teenage girl sitting in the back of the classroom to write poems about in composition books while the teacher recalls the time when we all gave more than we had just to keep the light on. I'm still paying the price for the life I was robbed of. Please do not burn my bones without first consulting with Celine. Ask her, can I rise from the ashes of self if I am both the flame and the sea, and it all turns to steam before I find the audacity to take flight? In this story, I am the first to arrive and the last to leave. I walk away towards reconciliation with forgiveness. I learn I do not have to make a shrine of my traumas to be deemed worthy of attention. I greet dawn with bright, open eyes. Atlantis is recovered. The city knows my name. Helios saves Icarus. Nyx releases me, and I surrender.
Hello, I'm Ron Bremner, and this is dream number 1. I was walking down Main Avenue in Passaic in 1975, remembering the delicious succotash that you cooked for me last night. You claimed that you were taught the recipe by a policeman that you invented. His dimensions were too large to fit past your doorways, so you had to shrink him. But in doing so, he became a clown and ran off to entertain Andy Warhol's grandchildren under a sky that used to be blue. But now you are coming out of your apartment above the Army-Navy store, and I enjoyed your hot motion while you tossed me a locket with a picture of Spiro Agnew in it. I am a secret admirer, you sighed. Don't use it as evidence against me. I'll deny everything. The truth was coming out faster than we could forget it. It hit me hard, like an underground railroad train carrying folks to freedom. But we walked on, pretending the sky was as blue as ever. I said to you, you don't have to be a baby to cry. You said that you only cry for the guilty. The innocent have to bear the weight of their innocence. Your tears fell like rain. You put on a hat. Later that night, your policeman-turned-clown entered my apartment, where I was entertaining you in your hat. He complained that the children didn't find him entertaining. They started a food fight with the birthday cake. He had managed to gulp down some pieces that hit him before the birthday girl opened the door for him and booted him out. She was wearing metal-tipped boots that hurt the clown, almost breaking his ankles. You threw both of us out of my apartment, blaming our inconsequentiality. You were expecting Spiro Agnew, you said. You intended to address him as Ted and confess your love for him. Spiro Agnew is disgraced and also dead, I told you. I know, you said. That's why he needs my love. The clown cried tears of a clown and clapped me on the back. Come on, he said. I'll buy you a Valentine on tap at the Delaware pub. My beer is Rheingold the dry beer, I said. Make it Rheingold whenever you buy beer. The formerly not blue sky started drizzling. Thank you.
Crossing a Street in London by Elizabeth Day. When I was 16 years old, I was hit by a car in the crosswalk in front of my high school. The car was going 5 miles per hour at most, and I walked away without a bruise on my body, but the mental damage was done. 7 years later, I carefully crossed each street, glaring at every car like it's my worst enemy. It's not uncommon for me to verbalize my distrust for cars. If you're a driver who's been victim to my accusing yells and gesticulations, I'm almost sorry, but not quite. Studying abroad in England in the beautiful June, right before my 23rd birthday, was made difficult for that reason. There's no shoulder on the road, so the cars driving by are right next to the pedestrians on the sidewalk, and it feels like someone is going to be hit at any moment. Jaywalking is legal, to my absolute shock and dismay, so pedestrians hardly ever wait for a crosswalk light to signal them across. It's just a game of dodging cars that everyone is okay with but me. One particularly anxious day, we'd been walking around the city for hours, crossing street after street. I am a person with diagnosed anxiety that was aggravated that day, so when you add in the car trauma, I was having a rough time. The golden sun was setting on a street, just busy enough for me to wonder if I'd be able to do it. I'm a very reactive person as well, so when I'm feeling something, I tend to express it without thinking. No, 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 no. Knowing my regular street crossing routine, it's likely some variations as well as y'all are crazy got thrown in there a few times as well. Our group, however, proceeded on without us. The time was coming to cross, and I was not there for it. My friend Mary knew of my distress. I had told my study companions about my car trauma. It was never far from my mind, given the circumstances. Hey, she said, it's okay. We'll do this together. I'll hold your hand if you want. I did want. Holding hands is one of my favorite things in the world, not to mention I just needed the support to get through that moment. I'm sure there was plenty of space between us and the approaching cars, but that didn't make it any less terrifying. We hurried across the street. Oh heck, I messed up that paragraph. Okay, I'll cut it. I'm sure there was plenty of space between us and approaching cars, but that didn't make it any less terrifying. We hurried across the street. My panic was tangible. Her hand in mine, her arm leaned into mine as well, additional support and comfort that she was there. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Our other friend Jamie wondered what we were doing, and whether he understood it or not, he noticed my fear as the cause of it. Joining Mary, who was on my left, he pressed against me on my right, both of their arms against my delicate skin, a protective shield from the cars, all the time surrounding me not just with their kind bodies, but their comforting words. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We made it to the other side of the street. Mary and I kept holding hands for a bit after. I think about it all the time. I'm not sure I even know how to explain it because I think I only kind of understand it. I'm only halfway there to comprehending it all. However, it's something I've heard other people say and have now experienced firsthand, so I know it's true. There's something about traveling with strangers for an extended period of time in a foreign land. That experience can take a person from a stranger to a friend in just a couple of days. I can already tell I'm doing the feeling injustice, but it is a purely magical type of love. I felt it multiple times on that trip. I felt it in the dining room of a hostel in Edinburgh after being stranded in airports for 2 days. I had arrived in Scotland after my group had basically completed their time there. At breakfast before our train to England, I met most of my friends for the first time. Jamie was the only one I'd had a class with previously. He smiled at me and said, "Elizabeth, you made it." I felt it in the lounge of a hostel in Whitby. The room was filled with windows opening up to a breathtaking garden. The weather was gloomy and the furniture was cozy. We were playing board games together, some of us teaching others how to play Clue for the first time. We took a selfie together to celebrate our last day in the little town. I felt it as we talked about writing together. Mary shared some of the poems she'd written with us. Erin asked for an elevator pitch of my poetry collection. We passed around story ideas and gave feedback. Kimberlyn and I sat on the top level of a double-decker bus talking about different writer day jobs. I felt it as friends agreed to take pictures of me and even offered sometimes. I felt it as we shared hair products and friends left me full-size soap since I would be staying in the city longer. I felt it when I nearly cried in an Indian restaurant across the street from our hostel because my friends truly saw me and said it was a good thing to let other people into my life. I felt it when we held hands during the scary parts of The Woman in Black on the West End. I felt it when we ate ice cream and had fruity little drinks. I felt it when we did each other's makeup. I felt it when we went to the Notorious for Parties pub together for 5 minutes just to say we did. I felt it crossing a street in London, covered in a gentle cocoon of friendship. I can hardly understand it, but I think about it all the time. I hardly know them, but I love them.
Hi, this is D.A. Van Gunten, and I'm going to read my essay to you about the time I wrote another essay and won a dream prom from YM Magazine. It's called Dreams Come True, but not dream proms. Over breakfast, I couldn't shut up about my marvelous magical dream where a semi-truck delivered loads of cosmetics and other pharmacy sundries. Right to my door, beep, 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 the truck backed up. My parents laughed because that did not qualify as magical. You got what? A giant box of deodorant? Potent symbolism bubbled up from my adolescent subconscious. Puberty was about to pop. A big red zit. Every Saturday morning I walked to West Haven Drugs to spend my allowance. I can still recall the smell of Trapper Keeper candy bar nail polish jelly bracelets. I walked home with purpose, with purchase. I always bought a glossy magazine. So no wonder I won YM's Dream Prom essay contest. My dream prom was Lost Atlantis, to be held on a local paddle wheeler that cruises the Maumee River. My prom was mechanical and surreal, lush with luxe strangeness, because naturally we would turn to the art students, theater nerds, and all the damn everyone. Treasure chests would open and close, dripping with gems and jewels. We could reach in and take them, because in my dream we weren't greedy jerks. We were mature enough to have goldfish bowls as centerpieces without swallowing the wiggling blobs of orange. Girls wore heads with their dresses because we understood that high heels aren't the best on a boat. In my essay, since the prom was paid for by the magazine, we donated ticket sales to save the wetlands. Well, the world is not a teenager's winning essay. My high school got a big fat check, but I didn't get my dream prom. I did get my dream, though. Over the course of 1 week, all day long, trucks pulled up to my house with big boxes. Teen Spirit deodorant, Maybelline makeup, and white canvas kids. Ding dong! Jessica McClintock dresses and exclamation perfume. I piled it into glossy pink gift bags and took it to the prom venue, which the school got for a steal on account of that moldy smell and the blackouts that ended the party early. Cardboard fish were taped to the cement walls. Bowls of goldfish crackers were on paper tablecloths. Not an art student in sight. But hey, I was positively perfumed. And my kids were cute.
A Scribbler's Dream by Isabel Palerma. Read by Tiffiny Rose Allen. I have been scribbling in notebooks since before I could write. I told stories as a toddler, learning language as I spoke it. I talked, carrying on the Homer's tradition of oral storytelling. I talked to my mother, the stranger in the grocery store, my grandparents, even though my grandpa smelled like tobacco and scared me a little. I told them my stories about a little alien angel I befriended. I described her glass rocket ship and the galaxies she explored with me. Stories were in my blood. I did not know how not to tell them, but when I was hushed and told to be quiet, that began a lifetime of scribbling stories and hiding secrets in poems, like writing cryptography. Metaphors became my language. I rarely shared my stories voluntarily, but in the world I inhabited, privacy was a luxury I could not afford. Parents sent poems to psychologists. Teachers sent my stories and me to the principal's office. Classmates shredded everything I wrote to confetti. Yet even as I grew up, I scratched and fought my way through. I began to hone my style, revise my autobiography, and I worked on my school's magazine. I developed a reputation. Kids began to clamor for me to write stories. In school, I became a legend. I was the one writing my story. At home, I was still silenced, a candle snuffed. But I never dared call myself a poet. I never claimed to be a writer. I simply dreamed of being one. It didn't matter how many stories I wrote or poems I penned. Being a writer was a dream. Even as I grew older, when I went to college, I studied safe topics and I tiptoed into poetry classes. I listened to a professor recite Anne Sexton and Sylvia Plath. She wore silk scarves and crawled on her hands and knees along the linoleum floor, reminding us we were dying each day. There were rumors she had bitten a student on the ankle, desperate to make a point. She spoke theatrically, her voice rising and falling. She was the epitome of a poet in my eyes. Some nights I would pace the courtyard outside of her classroom, smoking clove cigarettes and writing poems of my own. Finally, the title I dreamed of felt within grasp. I drank bourbon and cried over beautiful women. I went to parties where men quoted Kerouac and gave me glasses of wine. I thought myself a poet when they smoked marijuana and sat on faded couches behind art studios. But was it all a dream? Aspirations were one thing, but aspirations could melt like sugar in the rain. Then a poem I wrote after a night of tears was published. One from a pool of thousands. My words on a page? Was it all a dream? Where could this dream take me? This was just the beginning of the dream, and I'm not ready to wake up yet. A Waterfall Answers by Tiffiny Rose Allen. A path that was ever-changing was winding through grass patches and little mushrooms on a sunny afternoon. This path was walked upon by an energetic figure patiently awaiting his companion to come and meet him. He took his steps slowly, pausing to look at the mountainous greenery that called off in the distance. Just as his foot moved to take another step, there they were, skipping forwards towards him. "Did you pay a visit to the waterfall today?" they asked with eyes lit up in wonder. "Oh no, I must have missed it on my way today. Perhaps I'll stop to see it tomorrow," he replied rather sheepishly. "Oh, you should have seen it. It was dazzling. I saw so many hopes jumping from the mist. The rainbow mirage seemed to propel them up into the air. Just marvelous," they said, as they fell into a perfect stride walking next to him. They both walked in a content silence for a while, then curiosity struck them again. "Do you think we'll ever leave this place?" "I tried to ask the waterfall, but all it did was roar and bubble like it does. It wasn't forming any sentences today." They looked up at him with 1,000 wonders jumping around their mind. He looked down at his companion and took their hand. "Of course we will. All that matters is that we remain patient and simply know." "But what is it that we should be knowing?" they asked. He smiled with a look of admiration and joy as he answered them once more. "We just need to know that it will all be well. You'll see, by this very day next year, you will be happier than you've ever been, and the beautiful things you have been, and the beautiful things you've seen and have continuously worked towards will be worthwhile for you." They smiled and glanced at the ground at his kind and ever lovely words. "And what about you? Will you be there with me too?" But of course, I'd be an utter fool not to be. They both walked the rest of the way inquiring about each other's days and what meal they wanted for the evening. The next day, as he was walking towards his responsibilities, he decided to divert just slightly off the path and pay a visit to the waterfall. He crossed through a mossy place that held tiny purple flowers, all seeming to form a line following up to the start of the waterfall's riverbank. It was a chilly morning, and the sprinkling mist bit at his coat and his face. "Good morning," he said as he dipped his hand into the pool, testing the water's temperature. "I hope you don't mind me paying a visit on this day." He took a seat next to the bank and gazed into the ripples being caused by the streams of water, cascading down the rocks in front of him. The waterfall bubbled and roared as it does, and it whispered sweetly to him. "Oh no, of course not. I know just what you are going to tell me, but you must speak it for yourself anyway. Go on, child." He sat there questioning his next words, then began to speak them true. "I fear my companion and I will not be paying much more visits to you soon. You see, we will be traveling far away to somewhere that we hope will be good for us." As he said these words, the waterfall began to form a rainbow. "It will be good for you," it said. "It will be an adventure that will move the both of you forward. I think the words I need to give you are that you must take some compassion and charity for yourself. Don't let yourself grow into a shadow. No one wants you to be small, and you should not allow yourself to fold into your spirit like that." He nodded at the waterfall's message, and then he stood. "Do you think I should answer the call that picks at my soul?" he asked meekly. "Oh, my dear," the waterfall began, "you already are, just in how you go about your day. Go now, you have duties to attend to. Do not let me be your distraction." The waters picked up speed, and the rainbow slowly dissolved amongst the ripples. He felt as if a hope had just been fitted onto his being, like a fine coat made of the softest material. Later that night, as him and his companion were both lying in bed, They asked him another question of curiosity. "Do you think I will dream tonight?" They rolled on their side to face him. "Well, don't you always dream?" he asked, turning to meet their eyes. The night was dark and no light shone, but they still saw each other. "You know what I mean. Do you think I'll dream of something beautiful, something that will be a sure sign of where we are headed?" They took a hold of his hand and placed a gentle kiss upon it. "I paid a visit to the waterfall today," he whispered. "How did it go?" they asked, meeting his tone. "I think it was everything that it needed to be," he began, "and I think it left so much room for the need to grow and become so much more." Tears began to form in his eyes as he let out a small laugh. He sat up slightly and placed a kiss upon their lips. It was a quiet night for the both of them, and they slept dreamlessly. It was a dreamless night in the sense that they had already found the messages that they were in search of. When the sun began to rise and the clouds moved through the sky in silent wisps of white on blue, they each opened their eyes and had the same thought come to mind. They knew that the past was as the past would be, but the future seemed to promise so much more for them both. This time things would be in a flow. This time it would be good.